All right, welcome to another episode. I know it's been a while. The last episode was in March 22nd, and I've had a lot going on since that last episode. So I haven't been able to put in as many minutes or as much time dedicated to making videos and social media. Social media is pretty easy, the memes, the pictures here and there. That's pretty simple. Making the videos, making the episodes in the podcast, that can be a little bit more time consuming because of the editing and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, I'm not going to bore you with details. I have been very, very busy. I recently got a puppy from my friend RGR Malinois. So I'm very pumped about this pup. Awesome parents, good pedigree, and I'm just really excited about this prospect. My dog Rust, he's already 7 years old. We got into the sport very, very late, and he's doing pretty well. So I'm going to keep working him. I'm not ready to retire him. He will be 7 this year, so he's at the 7 year mark. He looks very young. He acts very young, and he still has a lot of gas in him. He's got a lot of fuel left in him. So we're not going to retire him yet. He's going to keep doing it for as long as he wants to do it and for as long as he's able to do it without pain. So, yes. So my workload just pretty much doubled when it comes to getting the other dog. I know a lot of people, sometimes they get a new dog and they retire their older dog and they just focus all their energy on the new one. That's not my intention. I'm just gonna double up on the workload. And I've had this puppy since Tuesday. It's been a very exhausting past few days, as some of you guys know who have puppies, who have worked with puppies. I have not gotten a full night's sleep since I got the puppies. 8 weeks of age, still very, very young. So potty breaks, first night every hour. And of course, he decided to hold it the entire night. So I was really up every hour thinking, please don't potty a crate. To this day, he has not had an accident yet. So I'm going to be very consistent with that. I also recently, this past weekend, I went to a trial hosted by Dallas Canine. It was an awesome trial. It was one of those sort of last minute entries. By the time I found out about the trial earlier, when they were just announcing it, by the time I found out about that trial, the spots had already been filled. So I didn't have any openings. So I just kind of took it as, well, I'm just going to keep training like normal, and I'm going to go for the next trial, whenever that is. So, and then kind of at the last minute, like a week before the trial, I got a message from Derek, the guy who was hosting the trial, and no, it wasn't from Derek. It was like, yeah, Derek had messaged me. Somebody else messaged me that there was another spot. Long story short, there was a spot available, and I signed up. I just signed up for 2 days, Saturday and Sunday. And it was my dog's first showing in the level 2s. I have a video of that on YouTube. It's also on Instagram and Facebook. And it was just such a great experience to be on the field on the level 2s. It was great. My dog did amazing. We didn't pass, but I'm not too concerned about that. It was not. I was not surprised by what happened. The obedience went really well. I got a really nice score on obedience both days. But the bite work went really well too, up until the call off. His out was nice. His out and return was nice. Just a really good performance. You can see the video. You see how clean he looks, and we just were not able to get our first leg or anything because we got disqualified on the call off. It's a mandatory call off. The dog cannot bite the decoy on the call off. But this is something that I had not really put in a lot of effort into. So I went into it not surprised if I didn't get it. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't freaking out. I knew that there was a very strong possibility. He has called off in training a handful of times. I mean, it's a training session that I've been working on for a while, but I've normally worked on it with foot targets or sleeves, and I did proof it with helpers, but the helpers that I use, man, Rust, it's just, he hits so freaking hard. He's such a fast dog that you can't just put him on inexperienced helpers because it's not good for him. They don't catch him right. It's not good for him. And it's also, it doesn't feel good for the inexperienced helpers. They end up hitting the ground on their face because Rust just will go really, really fast. So I do have a couple of club members that do help me out. But even then, I have to be careful because they're not decoys, they're not helpers. One of them is for sure. My friend Isaac, he does do a lot of the helper work, and he's a really good decoy. But long distance catches, especially with a dog like Rust, that can be a little bit challenging. Again, he's learning to take those fast, heavy hits with Rust, but I'm not going to put him or Rust, my dog, in a situation where either of them could not have a good experience. So we went into it, and he had done some decent call-offs prior to that trial, but I knew we had more work to do. Now, part of me told me, hey, don't go to that trial if you're not ready yet. If you're not fully confident in that call-off, don't go to that trial. And normally that's the approach I take, and that's the same suggestion that I'll give my club members. If you're not fully confident, don't go. Of course, they'll do their own thing anyway, but that's how I feel. If you don't feel confident about something, don't go. But I felt very confident in Rust's performance overall. That was the only one thing that I knew it was going to be a 50-50 shot. That I knew that the odds looked okay in my favor. So I decided to go for it. I opted to go anyway. And I thought to myself, well, there's still I'm not going into it going at it as, well, he's never done a call-off. Hopefully he'll do it. No, I had definitely put in some sessions and some hours and some repetitions into this, but it wasn't quite at the point I wanted it to be just yet. So I wasn't fully surprised, but I wanted to experience this. I wanted to go into the level 2s. I knew that we had a very good chance of passing. I knew that we had a very good chance of putting a very nice performance and obedience, which we really did. It looked really, really nice. Looking at the video from a different perspective, because when you're there, you don't see it, but when you look at it from a different perspective, it actually does look quite nice. Certainly, some things need to be improved, but the routine, the obedience routine itself looked very nice. So I decided to go for it anyways. I decided to give it a try. And the thing about trials too, I know some people get really, really freaked out. I have a friend who also went to trial that day, and that weekend, and she was very stressed out. And I've seen other people that get really stressed out. Personally, I don't care. I went into it thinking, I am willing to crash and burn. And that's the approach that I take on everything I do. I am aware that the possibility of failure is there. And I am willing to deal with that if I need to. I am not afraid to fail. I'm not afraid to make a fool of myself. Not that I ever will, not that I ever did have or I ever do, but I just went into it with a very relaxed, happy attitude. I knew I was gonna have a good time, showing in the twos, and it was gonna give me the experience that I needed to sort of know how to prepare for the twos. I got to decoy. I'm a certified decoy, so I got to decoy for a few of the levels. I decoyed on the 1, the PDC, and the level 3. I couldn't decoy on the level 2s because I was competing on the level 2s. But I had a blast. It was great. The trialing, that was a good experience for me. I don't think that was like, I wasn't upset that we didn't pass. I know my dog had a blast. So, yeah, I mean, to him, not calling off, that's not a bad thing to him. He's like, oh, yeah, this is awesome. But, he got an extra bite in there. But, yeah, I had a good time. I wasn't upset. I wasn't concerned. I really don't concern myself with that thought of, oh, what if I fail? What if I look like a fool? None of those things matter to me. So I went and I had a good time. And that was kind of the end of it. So prior to that, I was preparing. When I found out I had a spot, I was definitely amping up my training sessions. I wasn't burning my dog with a lot of training. I see some people do that sometimes. Like they will train and train and train, and they'll go to the open field and they'll go crazy. So by the time they trial, the dog has already seen that same routine so many times that it just takes the cleanliness out of it. If you've seen my obedience routine, that was the very first time that I did that routine. I never ever practiced a routine from start to finish. I'm surprised that a lot of people do that. A lot of people will practice an entire routine to see if their dogs are ready. I don't do that at all. I always practice every piece of the routine separately. So the figure eight around the decoys, I know I have to do that, so I practice that. I practice a lot of decoy neutrality. Food refusal, I know that's going to be there, so I practice the food refusal. In motion exercises, I know are going to be there, so I practice them. Change of positions, I know they're going to be there, so I practice them. The obstacles in the sequence, I practice them. Retrieve, I practice them. He didn't do that the first day. The second day he did. But I practice that, and I just never put him in a sequence. I've never have, not for the PDC, not for the level 1, not for the level 2. And every time I've trialed in the PDC 1 and 2s, I've always had nice, high obedience scores. And when people ask me, how do you do it? I don't practice routines. I just practice them separately, and I just put them together for the first time in the trial. Because I notice when you practice routines, and I notice this from people who practice routines, when they practice an entire routine, the second you do that routine, especially if you do it more than once and you do it very periodically, the dog maps the routine in their brain too. And then the dog starts to anticipate what the next step is. It's almost like the dog starts chaining the routine for you, and you can see they now start to get a little bit sloppier, they start to get a little bit slower, or they start to anticipate. So that's just my opinion, my experience. Of course, people don't have to agree with it, but that's just me. I don't like to practice routine. I never have. I just practice every piece of the routine, and then I put it together on the trial. Again, that's just my opinion. But yeah, so that's how that went. And then like a day and a half after that, after we came back from that trial, I got the puppy Tuesday. So I've been very, very busy. I like this puppy. He's so intense, so bullheaded. So if you want to see this puppy in action, make sure you go to the YouTube channel, because you're going to see videos on there. I already have 2 videos of that puppy's training in which I work on opposition reflex to get him to engage with me. And I'm charging the clicker, because clicker training to me is one of the most valuable tools, the most valuable techniques that a dog trainer can have. Nothing, I wouldn't say nothing, but marker training is definitely one of those tools that are just incredibly valuable. But you'll see that. So you'll see more progress on these videos on YouTube. As this puppy progresses, as we do more training sessions, as the puppy gets older, you will definitely be seeing quite a bit of him. You're still going to see a lot of Rust as well on the protection videos. But this puppy, I'm starting from scratch. Sometimes I take for granted how much Rust knows. I mean, Rust knows so much, because really the first 3 years of his life, I didn't quite know what sport I was going to do. I wasn't really, I didn't know. When I got Rust, I didn't have a club. I just was like, I want to get a working dog. I want to get a dog that I can do protection sports with. And I had no idea what sport I was going to do. I was looking into the IGP clubs in my area, the ring clubs, and it just wasn't a whole lot. I'm not gonna go into the little bit of drama or sob story as to why I didn't go to these clubs, but basically I was like, okay, I'm just gonna do a lot of obedience. And the second I got Rust as a puppy, I just started working on obedience. You'll see some of these videos too on my YouTube channel. I believe they're under competitive obedience. If you scroll up, you will see some of the earlier videos in that playlist, competitive obedience. You will see some videos of Rust doing some puppy training, some marker training, some target training. And so I put a lot of time and a lot of dedication into Rust's behaviors. I mean, I taught him nose target, foot target, change of positions, heel on the right, heel on the left, front. I taught him bark and hold. I even taught him some of the targeting myself for protection. I worked on his grip. I taught him the retrieve. I proved a lot of the obedience with distractions myself before I had a club. So I put in my time. I paid my dues with Rust. He can do so much. So whenever I need to learn something new, or whenever I have to teach him something new that pertains to the sport, I already have a very strong foundation with Rust, because if I go, okay, well, I need to work on this. How do I work on this? Oh, I can use a foot target. So I can use the foot target to teach him to do this, this, and this. That's how I got him to go over the jump, because when he would go over the jump, he would go into so much drive that he'd just go flat into the jump and hit it every time. So I used the foot target, which I picked up this trick from Dave Croyer. Okay, make sure you check him out. He's an awesome trainer, and just has a lot of awesome content in his website. So anyway, so I used foot target. I'm like, okay, he knows foot target, so the foot target will help him out a little bit. And it did. So another thing I wanted to work on is I wanted to work on recalls between helpers. Okay, how do I do that? Am I going to leave him in a state before I call him? No, definitely not going to do that. That's going to mess up his stays. So I would send him to foot target. He would, I would call him from the foot target. I had helpers in between, and I did that over and over and over. And so just a bunch of things. Like right now, one of the things that I'm doing, he's already, like I said, he's about 7 years old. He's not a young pup anymore. So I need to warm him up. I need to get him to stretch before we go into the field, and he gets all intense. So one thing I did when he was younger is I taught him to stand on his hind legs, and I taught him to stand on his front legs, like a headstand. or handstand. So what I do now is before we do any bite work, before he's going to be all pumped and excited, I have him warm up by doing a couple of stands, a couple of handstands, a couple of stands on his hind legs, just to stretch him out, to get the blood flowing before we go into the field all cold. So all of these little things that I take for granted, because I spent so much time training him when he was young, all of that now I have to do with this puppy, which, it's exciting because, now I know more than I did when I had Rust. I definitely knew a lot then, but I know so much more now. Just the experience that I've had with Rust really sharpened me up. And so, and it really helps that this puppy is so intense and just so determined, which is a great quality for a working dog. Very bad quality for a pet dog, but a great quality for a working dog. And that's what he is. That's what he's going to be. So I'm excited about that. He's an awesome pup, and I'm going to be putting lots and lots of hours into this pup. So so I'm going to be very busy. I'm also transitioning in my career, making a little bit of a transition. Still in dog training, but you'll hear more about this as the weeks go by. But there's already going to be a little bit of a transition, so my schedule is going to be nice and hectic. But I'm still going to be involved in dogs. I'm still going to be working with dogs. That's not going to stop. But yes, I'm still going to manage to do all the training, work with my club members, work with my clients, work on my projects. Again, I have a book coming out soon, my 4th book, working with my 2 working dogs, helping my wife with her working dog too, because she is working with this little Malinois too, that awesome temperament, great demeanor. So I'm going to be helping her as well with the protection stuff. At least she's doing all the obedience. But yes, I'm still going to find time to make these videos. I'm still going to find time to log on into the podcast platform and deliver some content. So stay tuned for more. Remember to give me suggestions. You guys have given me some awesome suggestions. Every episode practically, except for like maybe 2 or 3, every episode so far was ignited by one of you guys' comments or one of you guys' questions. So if you do have some questions, feel free to send me those questions. Comment. If you see this on the YouTube channel, comment on there, and just drop a topic that you would like me to talk about. If the topic is in-depth enough, interesting enough, but not too overly complex, I will make a topic. I will make a podcast episode on it. If you give me a topic that I've already covered, you're probably not going to see another episode on it because I've already covered it. So just kind of scroll through the play. If you're on YouTube, scroll through the playlist, the podcast playlist, and go through the episodes that I've already uploaded on there. Same thing if you're on the podcast platform, just kind of go through the episodes. Some of the topics that you might be interested in for me to cover, I might have already covered. So another thing too, since I'm kind of bringing you into my personal life here over this past 25 minutes, you may or may not have seen my apology video. I made a public apology video because I made a post that was very, very offensive. The post was on the COVID vaccine Krispy Kreme donuts as a reward. So they're giving Krispy Kreme donuts if you show your free donuts if you show your COVID vaccine card that you got vaccinated. You get a donut. So I made a meme about it, and I put something along the lines of operant conditioning doesn't just work on simple-minded animals that live their entire lives on a leash. It also works on dogs, implying that the simple-minded animals that live their lives on a leash are humans, are people. I don't mean to offend you guys if you got the vaccine or if you got your free Krispy Kreme donuts. That wasn't the intent. The stuff that I put on there is mostly for my amusement. And some of you people, some of you guys out there who follow me on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube, you have very similar tastes, very similar humor to mine. So when I post some of the stuff, you guys get a kick out of it. And some people don't appreciate that. And people who don't appreciate that are welcome to disagree with some of the stuff that I post. I have accounts that I follow that I agree with like 90% of their content. Every so often, they will post something that I really strongly disagree with. I just keep scrolling and I wait for the next post that I like. So I believe most people do that, but there's a group of people that are not satisfied with that. Like they want the person who made them kind of upset. They want that person to pay, and that's what was happening with that post. The one thing that people kept calling me was they kept calling me a racist because one of the hashtags that I used was Chinese virus. Okay, that's one of the hashtags I used. I'm not going to get into this whole political thing, and some of you might be going, oh, screw this, I'm not following this asshole anymore. And truly, I do not care if you don't like me. So you can stop listening right now, unfollow me, and send me a nasty message like some of these people did. So some of the comments that I got, they were like, oh, you're racist. A couple of people even implied that I was white and that I was a white supremacist. And yeah, they were saying that, oh, it's terrible. You're a terrible person. One person even wished me like terrible harm. One person flat out said, go play in traffic. So I'm like, oh, so you I replied to this person because I find this very entertaining. I love it. So I was like, oh, okay. So using the Chinese virus hashtag makes me a horrible person, but you wishing me death makes you better, right? And the person replied with, no, I'm not wishing you death, just serious bodily injury. So these people are just demented. There's something wrong with you if you get so triggered by one word, by somebody's post, that you don't even follow that person. And you get so angry that you will engage that person that you don't even know, and you will wish them death or serious harm. There is something seriously wrong with you if that's how you handle life. Which, by the way, all these people, they're just a bunch of pussies. They would never say that to my face. That's exactly how they are. Okay? All these people with their accounts and their profile, their avatars are their dogs. They're just a bunch of pussies. Look, you're using your dog as your account, as your avatar for your account. It's fine. I've done it before. It's not a big deal. That doesn't make you a pussy. I'm sorry, I'm saying pussy, but that doesn't make you a pussy. But when you hide behind that account, you don't say anything about yourself. You keep your account private, and you only use it to like pick on on people you disagree with, to wish them harm. It's seriously concerning. I don't care because I had a blast with this person. I had a good time. So what I did is I screenshotted this person's comments, and I made a post out of this person. So I was just pull some jujitsu on this person. I used this person's anger against her or him, whatever it is. And I made a post, posted it on there, and this person got really pissed off and just told me, go die. And then I had other people sending me messages. A few people send me messages from this post. One person told me, I hope someday you realize what a terrible person you are. And then put a smiley face. And I was like, when I said this to this person, I meant it. I said to this person, I truly wish you the best. That's what I said. I truly wish you the best. And I meant it. There was nothing sarcastic about it. Because when I saw that message from this person, and I was like, okay, I need to check this person. Who is this person? So I went to their account. And it was a teenager. So the bio said teenage service dog handler. So I saw that. I'm like, oh my God, you poor child. You poor child. So I sincerely meant it. I told her, I truly wish you the best. And I left it at that. And then there were 3 other people that they shared my post on their stories, and they were saying, please unfollow this person, or or please report this person. It was like they were going on a witch hunt because I dared express myself with something that they found severely hateful. And you might think it's hateful, but here's the thing. Words don't have the capacity to hurt you. You might think that's not the case, okay? You might think that's not the case, but listen to me for a moment. I came to the U.S. at the age of 12, maybe 13, and I did not speak any English. I did not speak the language. I went to live up north, so Connecticut, and that's where my family was. And I didn't speak English, and some people in school, they did not treat me well. Some of the high schoolers did not treat me well. There's definitely more racism up north. This is my experience, okay? Than there is down here in Texas or in the South. From my experience. So at least at the time. And yeah, and even into my adult life, I've dealt with people that I knew had a problem with me. Even at work. Okay? And here's the crazy thing. Even when I was in the Coast Guard, I was in the Coast Guard for 6 years. Even when I was in the Coast Guard, there were a handful of times where I saw it clear as day. Okay, so I've been called a lot of racial names. Like every racial name that you can think of for a Hispanic, I've been called that. I've been treated harshly for not speaking the language or not speaking it well. So I know a thing or two about racism, but here's the thing. Here's what made me different than a lot of these other people. I am not a victim. I'm not a victim. I'm not a pussy. I'm grateful that I had sort of a tough childhood. I am grateful that I had bullies that taught me how to deal with pressure and taught me how to deal with problems and taught me how to deal with my feelings and taught me that I had to be better than whatever any person thought of me. I am glad for I'm happy for all the obstacles I had. I truly mean it. Like if I could see my bullies, which I didn't grow up being bullied my entire life. I had bullies, and I had to fight my way out of it. I had to get physical. Okay? I'm glad that I had those hardships, and that if I had an opportunity to see these people, I would thank them. I would go to them, I would buy them a beer, and I would say, "Hey man, thank you. Thank you for what you did." Okay? Not I wouldn't go to them and go, "I forgive you. I just want some closure." No. I would freaking buy them a beer. I'd be like, "Thank you." Okay? I'm glad that my dad wasn't always there, and that my mom had to toughen up so that I could see that. I'm glad that when I told her I don't want to go to school, she dragged me by the hair and dragged me to school by the hair. Because I learned that it doesn't matter how I feel. If something needs to get done, it has to get done regardless of how I feel about it. And what happens, I believe a lot of people now, especially these people that get so easily offended, they're so terrified of discomfort and so terrified of getting their feelings hurt that they just don't know how to deal with that. And it's sad. It is sad that some of these people responded so just has such a terrible response to this one word, Chinese virus. Look, you might disagree with me politically in everything, and really not just politically, in religion, politics, dog training, anything. You really should not get it should not affect you to your core. You shouldn't get upset over that. And so, this all was happening during the trial, to the weekend of the trial. And when I went the second day, some of my buddies over there at the trial were like, "Hey man, I saw your video. What's going on?" And I'm like, "Hey, you know what? I'm having a blast with these people, because I don't know these people. They don't know me either, but at least they can see my face. They know who I am, right? I don't know who these people are, but you know what? These people are thinking about me, and I'm laughing at their expense, because weakness is funny." Sorry, okay? No, not sorry. No, weakness is funny. When I see grown-ass people that can't handle words, it's just, to me, I find it amusing. Weakness is one of those things that I can't stand it, but when I see it, it amuses me. How could somebody be that weak? How could a grown person be that weak? I get it. You didn't get punched in the mouth enough when you were a kid by your peers. You were told that you were special and that your feelings should matter to everyone, and it's not the case. Sometimes you need to get your ass kicked. But anyway, I'm kind of ranting a little bit. I'm not upset. I get very passionate about this topic because for a long time, I myself was weak. I was a victim at one point. I had this victim mentality at one point. I grew out of it, obviously. Otherwise, I wouldn't even be doing a podcast. I'd be terrified. I'd be hiding in my basement, thinking, I don't want to look like a fool. But I don't care. So I made an apology video, which was a fake apology video. I wanted to draw these people in. That was my plan. I wanted to draw them in. So the video started. You might have seen it. Maybe you haven't. Go to the YouTube channel. And then you can make up your mind for good that you really never, ever want to see me or listen to me if you find it incredibly offensive. But I posted the video. I was like, "Hey, guys, I made a cross the line." I started it that way. Just cross the line. I offended some people. I said some hurtful things. So I'm going to apologize. And as I'm quote unquote apologizing, suddenly I just start ripping into it. I just go, "I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry that I said this. I'm sorry that the society has failed you. I'm sorry that you were taught that your feelings matter to complete strangers. I'm sorry that the only thing that will think highly of you is an animal that has no choice but to stay with you. If you're a guy, I'm sorry that you never made it past puberty. You never made it past puberty. You never grew a pair. I just had a blast with it. Does that make me an asshole? I don't care. I truly don't care. But anyway, so that's what's been happening over the past couple of weeks. And I just realized I haven't really talked about a topic. I just spent the entire episode talking about the last couple of weeks. So the next episode, I'm going to jump right back on it, and we're going to pick it up with a topic. I already have a topic in mind. I was going to talk about it today, but I don't want to keep this episode any long. I don't like podcast episodes that last like an hour and a half. I'm not going to drag you through one of those. So I will see you in the next episode.